I'm passionately a pro-EU supporter. I've voted that way in Parliament. I resigned from the Shadow Cabinet over the issue of Article 50, and I am also currently engaged in voting against the EU withdrawal bill and all the other bits and pieces that are in there and going through at the moment. I think it's quite clear to most of you that what this government is trying to do in terms of Brexit, in terms of how it's treating people who have made their homes, who have contributed to our country, here in this country, across Norwich and across Norfolk, is a complete scandal and completely unacceptable. That's not just me saying that. There are millions of people who believe that. And it's about how do we mobilise those people, how do we get those people to make sure that what they're trying to do in terms of Europe doesn't take place. Now, I'm going to say something here. I actually think the Remain campaign has been poorly led, okay, and I think the Remain campaign during the referendum was very poor, and we're reaping the whirlwind from that. It goes back way beyond the referendum. You all understand that the question that was asked about the EU was in many ways a proxy. People were in effect asked, are you happy after austerity, after 30 years of Thatcherite type policies? And the answer was a resounding no. But what people are doing, I think, for a variety of reasons, are hurting themselves and their communities in the process of wanting more power, more say over their own lives. We live in one of the most centralised states in the world, okay? And if you think leaving the EU and handing back power, not to that place, because that's not what the EU withdrawal was about, EU withdrawal bill was about. It was about handing power to the executive. We're becoming even more centralised. It's taking even more power away from people and communities. So that isn't the answer. Leaving the EU isn't the answer. But I've got another thing to say as well. The EU as it currently wasn't and isn't fit for purpose. If you look at how the EU has treated Greece, if you look at the social contract and the social pillar of Europe, it has faded. It is basically submerged in many ways to a philosophy which I think has in part led to the crisis that we see. You look at Portugal, you look at Spain, you look at Greece, you look at these countries in the EU and youth unemployment above 50%. You can see that the European project isn't perfect. But what I do know, leaving the EU, the UK leaving the EU, is not the answer. So I'm prepared to fight, but I also want to see a campaign that isn't just about court cases, that isn't just about saying we were lied to, as true as that is, but it's also about communicating to people, a wider tranche of the public, that Brexit, a hard Brexit, is the wrong answer. But to do that, we're going to have to communicate with people and communities, and that's going to take more than we've currently done so far. So ultimately, that's where I stand, that's my position. I'm here to support you because all of you that have come here today, you've come to this country, you've made your lives here. You're our neighbours, you're our brothers, you're our sisters, you're our husbands, you're our wives, you're our aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, cousins, friends, neighbours.